So are you clinging to the past and you refuse to grow and evolve and learn? It's probably hurting your results, and it's going to give you a future that you really don't think is up to your standards. So we're here to tell you today why you have to give up some things to have some other things. So welcome to the Prof Sales YouTube channel. I'm Prof Sales, and this is
I'm Ben. How are you?
you guys have seen him before if you watched our channel, and my special guest host, Ben, is coming to us live from another part of the house. See what I did there? It was like, instead of live from, like, another city or something, you were like
Just
live.
in another chair.
Yeah, he's trademarked and brand named out, which is good. We're good with that, so if anybody wants to sponsor us, Patagonia, we're good. But we're glad you guys are here today. So Ben wanted to be on the show. We started talking about this a few days ago, and so this should be really cool to have like a different perspective. And this is going to be fun because we're going to talk about the things that this show is really all about, the channel. And for those of you who don't know, if you're here for the first time, you're just tuning in, welcome to the channel. This channel is about reselling. It's about being an entrepreneur. It's about e-commerce, selling on eBay and Amazon. And it's about your mindset and staying positive and always moving forward. So what better show than to talk about how to give things up to have success? And Ben's going to share with us some of his success stories and things, his lessons he's learned as well, to kind of give us some additional insight, which I'm interested to hear too, because I haven't heard him. So I don't know what he's going to say. So this could be amazing. But we're glad you guys are here, and feel free to leave a comment in the live chat that's going on right now, or a question. We'll do our best to answer. We'll try to answer it in the flow, but if not, we may have questions at the end as well. And of course, you can leave it as a comment after the video post. All right. So, Ben, do you live in the past?
Sometimes I have lived in the past.
So when you live in the past, what does it look like for you?
It looks like so think of life as like a car, right? You're driving a car, and you're driving on a highway, so there's lots of cars, right? But instead of looking out the windshield, like, this big piece of glass, you're only looking in the rearview mirror, and that's not really going to help you. Because say a semi truck slams on its brakes in front of you, and then you get in a crash.
That's
because you're not paying attention to the front. You're paying attention to what's happening behind you.
So if you're only focused on what's behind you, how can you really be focused on what's in front of you?
Exactly.
No, that's great. I love that. I love that analogy. And I wonder how many of us have, we tend to cling to the past. Now, that can look like a lot of things, but the way in which it looks like for a lot of resellers and people that are business people is they figure out like a way to do something, and then that's it. Like, that's the only way they're ever going to do it. They don't want to change. They don't want to learn anything different. They're like, oh, that's too hard. Why am I changing? It's always worked for me. To which is that's interesting, because you didn't always do it that way. Like, somewhere along the line, you learned, like you've probably seen that in some of your sports and some of your other activities. Like, you were doing it a certain way.
Oh, yes.
And then somebody showed you a different way to do it. Which I think is, I love sports analogies, that. But I think a lot of times in reselling or being in business, we do that. We cling to the past. And I think it's a mistake. And we'll talk more about that here in a moment. I'm curious what you guys out there, have you ever had, is there something you did in the past that you're no longer doing, but for a long time you held on to, and you said, hey, I'm going to do it this way because it's the way I've always done it. And so it must be the best way, which is kind of weird logic, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you decide that something's the best way? How do you decide something's the best way to do something, Ben?
I really don't. I kind of mess up a couple times before I figure out it's the best way to do it. Even like in sports, a perfect way to think about this. Like, I've gotten better and better and better over the years. Back in 6th grade when I started playing rugby, I sucked. Like, I probably thought I was doing it the best way, but like over time, I've learned how to do it better and better.
Yeah. So you kept like an open mind to being able to evolve and,
Yes.
and change. That's important too. Yeah. So living in the past, guys, is like a surefire way to never really evolve and change and be able to move forward. But I want to talk about the present too, because I'm going to go back to your car analogy. So you're in the car, you are only staring in the rearview mirror, and you know that's a bad idea because you'll miss what's in front of you.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe now you just are staring at what's immediately in front of you, immediately in front of your car. You know, what's in the next 50 feet, the next 100 feet. But how do you how would you get somewhere if you were doing that? Like if you literally were thinking, you know, I'm going to be in a car and I need to go to somebody's house or some other place, and I don't really know how to get there, but I'm just going to look exactly what's in front of me and hope that eventually I run into it. I mean, think about that analogy. Like, could you? I mean, think about trying to take a trip that way. I'm just going to drive around and hope that I stumble upon it. You probably have done that before.
Yeah, a couple times.
Maybe not driving wise, but
yeah.
yeah, like, well, and you know, using the sports analogy, it's where you become super reactionary in the moment and you're not thinking a step or two ahead. You're like, oh, that person did this, so I do this. And sometimes you got to do that because it's all the time you got. But I like, you know, Wayne Gretzky, the great hockey player. They asked him why he was so great, and he said at hockey, because he was, you know, an all-timer, one of the all-time greats, if not the greatest. And he said, I never skated to the puck. I skated to where the puck was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. It's like, you know, hey, I just need to be where it's going to go, figure out where it's going to go, not where it is, because everybody's going to where it is. So he could always stay a step ahead. But so if you're in this present, you're trying to figure out like where to go next, but you're just sort of reactionary. You're just sort of driving around like, I go this way, I go that way, I go this way, I go that way. That's going to stunt your growth, I think, for a lot of people. And a lot of people do that. Like in reselling, we do that. We do that because we think, oh, I want to sell this thing. It's the new cool thing to sell. So I'm going to go sell it, or I'm going to go sell this, instead of, you know, trying to plot out some sort of course to go forward, you know, and that's really tough, I think. So let's talk about the future. So now we're back in the car. We're not staring in the rearview mirror. We're not only looking out the front window. And because if we stare in the mirror, you know, we end up living our mistakes over and over and over. And, you know, what about you, Ben? I mean, have you had mistakes that, like, you don't have to talk about the actual mistake, but just like you've had mistakes that sometimes just seem like they kind of keep popping up in your head? You keep reliving them to some degree.
Well, I can use another sport analogy, even rugby. So a lot of times you can get in a rut doing the same thing over and over, like in a tackle. Say your technique is just this bit off, but it's wrong and it's hurting you slowly but surely.
Right.
And you just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again until you have to like figure out that what I'm doing is wrong and like I can do better.
Right, right. And if you stay there, but if you had the mindset of that way I was doing it was bad, I'll never be a good tackler.
You got to be able to build and grow. You can't just like your history is part of you. You can't just like forget about it, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And so it's, you know, somebody said this one time, they said, you know, my past is a cool place to visit, but I don't want to live there. So, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. So you can't stay stuck in the past if you want to move into the future and you want to move past where the present is. So you can't live in the past. You can't be reactionary in the moment to here where you're just reacting to everything, just hoping great things happen for you. You've got to have some sort of plan by taking what you've learned in the past, whatever it is. So I would ask all you guys, like in the chat, and we have like almost 60 people watching. Well, we do have 60 people watching, so thank you for that. What are you guys clinging to that's holding you back? Like, is it a mindset? Is it a way of doing something? Is it a procedure? Is it, you know, an improper way to tackle? Is it something that you have done for a long time and you just don't know a different way, or you've been resistant to change, or, you know, because I can bet that most of you guys watching right now, you've got some sort of area of your business and even your life for that matter, where you feel like I'm not getting the results I really want. So then it becomes a question, you know, Ben, like, well, if you're not getting the results you want, what needs to change?
That's a really good question to ask yourself.
Yeah. And it's I think a lot of times, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm afraid of the answer.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be what you want to hear. I mean, change is scary a lot of times, and moving away from something or away you've been doing something for a really long time can sometimes be scary.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And like Ed Miller says, the day job, I'm afraid to walk away. And, you know, Ed, I can understand that point, but I think one thing to remember is the perspective you have on it is you're walking away from something instead of you're walking towards something. And if you change that perspective, then it becomes a whole different paradigm for you, because you want to move towards something, not that you're running away from. Because I agree with you, like leaving a job, and you and I have talked about this, like quitting a team.
Oh yeah, anything.
Doing something like quitting something is sometimes the right choice. But then I always ask, and I've asked you this a million times, but what are you going to go towards? Like, what's going to be next? What's going to fill that time and space and energy, you know, that you spent on that going forward? Because you're going to fill it. It's going to happen, you know, and that's tough. So Ed wants to leave his job, but it's, you know, the bigger question is, Ed, what are you walking towards? Because staying has its cost too. If you're thinking about leaving your job, then you probably aren't happy with it. I'm going to go on a limb here and say you're not happy with your job on some level, and you have to make a calculation here. Is leaving and walking towards something else with all its uncertainty, because it is uncertain, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, is that worth the risk of leaving, or is it more important to you to stay with the quote unquote certainty of what you already have? I've already got this job. I know how to do it, blah, 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 but I don't like it. I don't like these things about it. Yeah. I mean, you had a job like that earlier this year.
Yeah, and to talk about this, it's like you are right here, right? This is you, and you're comfortable. And not a lot of amazing things can happen when you're comfortable. You know, I mean, look at Buzz Aldrin. Like, he walked on the moon, and I don't think he was comfortable when he walked on the moon. He was probably really uncomfortable.
Probably scared.
All of you have to get uncomfortable in order to do great things. I mean, because you're not just, if you're complacent and you're comfortable and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go to my work. I'm gonna go to work today. You know, I'm gonna just do like average things, like type hello, whatever. You're comfortable, and nothing amazing is gonna happen when you're comfortable and you're just doing the same thing over and over again. So whatever you want to leave to, which is, I'm guessing, reselling.
Right. Probably.
It's gonna be uncomfortable at first, but if you put everything into it, it's gonna be different, and it's gonna push you and make you grow in so many different ways than what you expected.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And that should have been the title of the show. There's nothing good happens there in the middle. You have to go outside of your comfort zone to grow and evolve, with all the fear and rejection and failure that comes with that. And it absolutely will. It will slap you down, and you will, you know, fail multiple times in a lot of things. But that's just part of growth and evolution. And you know, whatever your job was, at one point you didn't know how to do that either. At one point you stepped out of some other comfort zone to go to that job. At some point, for some reason or some set of reasons, and you decided, I'm going to go work for company X and do job Y, and it's going to make me, I'm going to have to learn all these things. Like, I remember when you came home from that first job, he was super excited about that. He's like, I learned this and I learned this and I learned, like, it was like his desire for learning things like that is high. And you were super engaged with that job when you first started. Now, over time, he became less engaged because of the personalities and situations there, and that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfectly normal, and then you just find another job. I mean, you're never going to be like stuck in one place. Never get yourself stuck in one place, because I mean, what kind of fulfillment is that? I mean, it's gonna maybe it'll make your wallet happy, but like, will you be happy? You got to always be learning new things and challenging yourself more to engage more more your brain, learn more about the world, just like in general.
Yeah, and it's a struggle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No doubt. But it really just requires, you know, like Ben was saying, you've got to get out of that comfort zone. You've got to wrap your mind around it that, hey, I'm going to evolve here and learn something different. Even if you learn, I don't want to do this. You know, even if you get into the reselling and you go, this wasn't what I thought. I don't like it. It's not for me. It's not fulfilling me. That's not a failure. It's just learning something else. You know, I learned early on, when I struggled to even draw a stick person, that becoming an artist was probably not for me. There's no artistic talent in this body. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not going to beat my head against the rock to try to become a better artist. It just was not that important to me. And a job should be the same way, guys. Like, I don't know why we have this idea that, well, you and I have talked about this. Why people think they have job security and job safety when you don't. I mean, they can get rid of you. Your comfort level there is kind of a false comfort.
Oh yeah.
It kind of comes from ego, because you think, I'm so good at what I do and so valuable to them, they would never get rid of me. Said everyone right before they got canned. So, you know, that kind of comes from a place of ego to some degree, and it's a false ego for sure, because you're not in control of that. Somebody else is, and they get to decide. And, you know, as we've talked about, they get to decide how many hours you work, what days you work, the conditions, how your pay works or doesn't work the way, and it changes while you're there. Like it did on you several times.
Several times, indeed, yeah.
And I had to tell Ben, I was like, man, it does suck. And that is absolutely the way it works everywhere you go, unfortunately, to a large extent. But in some places are worse than others, obviously. But you did stick it out a long time.
Probably longer than I should have.
You were there for like a year, right?
I was there for I was there for over a year. Wow,
that's a long time. That's enough time to make the decision. I need to move in a different direction. That's plenty of time for most people. But some people go in and they're like, after 2 days, they're like, this is terrible. And I'm like, really? Did you not ask questions on the interview? Like, what happened there? But anyway, all right. So. And you guys need to decide on your own, what are you clinging to that's holding you back? Maybe it's this false comfort. Maybe it's this idea that the fear of change. Maybe it's, you know, you think you have safety and security at whatever you're doing, wherever you're at right now, but you kind of don't. And that's, you know, it's somewhat of an illusion. I'm not trying to scare anybody and say, hey, you should walk around afraid all the time. I'm just saying you have to be wary, like things change. You know, you evolve as a person and your situation evolves. But so I'm going to ask you guys now, what are you willing to give up? Here's the key, right? What are you willing to give up to meet your goals? You want to be successful on eBay. You want to be successful at your job. You want to be successful at reselling. You want to be successful at school or rugby or relationships or whatever you're in. What are you willing to give up? Because it's not going to be just handed to you. It's not going to be, hey, here's all your hopes and dreams, and you don't have to do anything for it. It just doesn't work that way. Like for anything, really. Like there's some sacrifices you have to make. So what would you guys give up to have the success you want? Let's say it's on eBay, but it could be on other things too. You know, going into 2018, what are you willing to do different? Sam says, I'll never give up chocolate, which is pretty funny, actually. Oh, but what about in your case, Ben? I mean, you're obviously younger than me and younger probably than most of the people in this chat. So you've got a different set of milestones and mileposts that you're looking at than we are. What do you think you have to give up to kind of get some of the things that you want?
Okay, so I've got two little stories we got here. So first one is YouTube. Jason, as well as my mother, Kaaren, have been really pushing me to start a YouTube because I live a crazy life. And they think that I could
It'd be interesting. Yeah.
That I could get views and stuff off of my crazy life, jumping off cliffs and going to different countries and stuff. But the one thing that's holding me back is my fear, and my fear of being uncomfortable in this new venture. And you know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh yeah, I'm always uncomfortable and stuff. It's something I strive to be. I'm never gonna be perfect at it, but in getting a YouTube, in making a YouTube, and trying to make it successful, there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of anxiety about like having to make it perfect. But like, you don't really have to make it perfect, you know. Like, you will start off really rough, and you have to learn, just like this, the past, the present, the future. You have to learn from your mistakes in the past, like try to better them in the present, so then in the future you can do better, you know? It's just like same with YouTube. The second story was in school, right? So like freshman and sophomore year, I kind of just went by in school, you know. I'm average grades. And this year, it's like, I asked myself at the beginning of the year, like, what do I give up to like do better? And for that, it wasn't really like to give up. It was just to move things around. Like, I had to give up spending my time somewhere else, because time is one of the most important things. Like we're maybe about to talk about. And I just had to move time around to where I could do more time on my schoolwork, to where I can get better grades. So just like in reselling, you can move time from just sitting around in your house to listing, or maybe like you can wake up 30 minutes earlier and list, or instead of watching TV at night, like instead of watching Big Brother or whatever, or whatever TV show people watch nowadays, like going out and sourcing, you know, it's trade-offs.
Yeah, no, you're all over it. I like what you said there about moving time around, because, you know, one of the things I found, and I think you're this way too in some ways, but you're at different time frames. I'm productive at certain parts of the day in certain ways, and then other parts of the day I'm not as productive in those ways. So like when Kaaren and I get together and we're talking about a topic for the show, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, I can do that. If you ask me to do that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, I could do it if I was forced to, but it would be a struggle. I would not be as effective. So sometimes just realizing like that's the time I need to get up from whatever it is I'm doing and focus on this next thing that's coming down the pike, or I know that I need to accomplish, rather than, you know, trying to force it in later when it's not the right timing for me. So that's like a timing piece for me. Just, hey, this time of day, I'm fully engaged, I'm awake, I'm good. But if I get a little more tired, you know, it would be like trying to, you know, in your example, you know, if you were trying to play a rugby match at like 10 o'clock at night, you could do it.
Yeah, but
you're going to be tired.
I wouldn't perform well. Yeah.
Right. No, but like, and probably no one else would either. Like there's some peak periods of our energy during the day for certain things. I mean, that's a realistic. And I know some of you guys, you know, maybe you work a job and you work an 8 to 5. And it's like, well, how do I make it work? And, you know, Luke, who you worked with this summer, would get up at 4:30 in the morning. He could do that. Like, he is wired that way.
Not me. Not me.
I told him, I said, you need to call Ben and have him come over at 4:30. And I was just kidding. I was like, there's no way he's getting up at 4:30. But Luke could do that because he's wired that way to do that. So even just moving the time around, because for Luke, he found it more effective to do that than to wait till 5:30 at night or 6 o'clock when he got home and he's already worked his full-time job. Excuse me. All day long. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. That's always appropriate. Some people would be happy about that. But yeah, shifting time around sometimes is the best thing you can do. And it's not so much you need more time. Of course, you quote unquote need more time, but there is no more time. There's just time, and it just passes, and whatever happens, happens. But I listed down here, and some other people. Well, before I get to that, let's see if there was any other comments here. I thought I missed one or two. Quick Flip Easy Ship says, I do a lot of careless spending with my PayPal account. I have to give that up because it's holding me back in the potential of sourcing capital. That's a great point quick. And I don't know that I've really seen someone say that before, but that is an absolute temptation for sure to use. So one of the things we did back last or earlier this year, I'd always had a separate bank account for the business, but it was tied to my own. But I went off and got a separate bank account that's not tied. It's tied to me, but it's not tied to my other accounts at that bank. And that is just the business account. Anything that comes in and out of that account is business related and nothing else. Like I don't go out and, buy groceries with that card or, buy gas unless it was, well, I take mileage, so I really wouldn't buy gas with it either. But that can help, like separating it out. I mean, PayPal is a little different because, there are business PayPals and so on. But just having like a break or division between them. So then in your mind, it's like, this is used for this, because that's really no different when you think about it than if you said, I've got this $1,000 for the rent payment, but I'm going to spend 100 of it on, clothes at the mall.
And then the other 900 I'm going to take to Vegas.
Right. Guess what happens when the rent comes due? You don't have it. And that causes a whole other set of problems. Like you wouldn't do that probably with the rent, but you should think about it on that level, even with the PayPal account. Like that's for your business. It's for your business. It's not for you to spend. If you want to take money out of that account, owner withdrawals, that can be set up too. But that's a whole, but just keep it business related in that. And if you have to create a whole separate account for it, it's really important. And I'm glad you brought that up. But time is very finite. So as Ben said, if you need to move that around to meet your goals, whatever they are, even, it's moving it around and also realizing that whatever you say yes to, you're saying no to everything else.
Yeah.
If you spend an hour doing this, whatever this is, you can't spend an hour doing something else or a bunch of something else's, really. So you're making a choice. Even when you make a choice to quote unquote, I love this one. You know me. I love this one. People say, yeah, I did nothing. I'm like, well, you did something.
You sat there and like looked at your phone and ate food.
Yeah. Or you stared at the wall or you slept or you did something during that time. You did. You still existed, even if it was just there with your own thoughts, which is not the worst idea I've ever heard. But so if you start thinking about what you've got to do to be successful this year and on eBay or whatever it is you're talking about, not just eBay, time is a huge one. I mean, how are you spending it? You could even write down or keep track of in a journal or an app what you spend your time on in a given week. It might surprise you if you break it down in like 15-minute chunks and say, this 15 minutes I did this. This 15 minutes I did that. And it will usually surprise you, like, I didn't realize I spent 4.5 hours doing whatever that was, and you're like, man, that, plus it also makes you more conscious about it, which is good too, because then you start thinking about it. Not that you got to stay busy every single second. Like that's not realistic. You can't be doing something every second. Nobody can do that. You don't have endless energy. Letting go of old habits that weigh us down. Ben, do you have any old habits that you've let go of that were weighing you down, you felt in some way? It could be wide ranging there.
Well, let's see. Like laziness when it comes to rugby. Because in middle school, I haven't really grown that much. I've kind of grown like 2 or 3 inches since middle school. So in middle school, I was playing rugby and football, and I was huge compared to everyone else. Like I was the size I am today.
Right.
I didn't have to work out extra. Like I didn't have to like try that hard in conditioning. It was just like my size got me by. But now I'm in high school and I'm playing against seniors that are 200 pounds heavier than I am. Like I'm not going to beat them by my size. I've got to work on my technique. I've got to work on my conditioning, and I've got to work out. Because great. Wow.
Interesting. Hey, it happens.
And it's just like it's important to like look at your past and be like, okay, that's what I was doing then. And then you look at the present like, okay, what's going on now? And then you look at the future and you're like, this is what I need to do to get better.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I wrote down here on our show notes here, I said, we all have these daily anchors. Social media, not exercising, eating poorly, lack of organization. I'm sure you guys could come up with your own list. If you want to share them here in the chat or share them as a comment later, please do. And all these anchors produce drag that keeps our ship from sailing fast and free. They do. They put a drag on you. And, you know, an anchor can keep a ship in place, but it can also be a drag if you need to get somewhere else. And I started thinking about those. Like when I put that down, I'm like, most of those are me. You know, those anchors I've been guilty of, and maybe is still guilty of at times. And so you go through seasons where, like, you know, this is more prevalent in your life, whatever it is. You know, you're working out better, you're not working out better, you're eating poorly, you're eating better. I mean, you go through seasons sometimes, but they all have a cost. You know, they put a drag on you, even when sometimes you don't see it. So you know, just looking at those or thinking about those, you know, which of those and maybe others do you guys have, you know, feel like are a drag on you? Like, what's putting a drag on your progress right now? Because you know, I say this to you all the time. People and things that you get involved in, people you get involved with and things you get involved with are never neutral. They have some sort of effect on you.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I got this friend that I hang around, but I don't really like him, but I don't really hate him. But he's okay, but he doesn't really bring anything to me, but he doesn't take anything away at our relationship. I'm like, nope, it's doing something.
Obviously, yeah.
You know, and you've had some cases of that where I got to give you credit though. You know, I got to give you like credit because Ben has recognized some of the anchors in his life and he's cut them loose. He's cut them loose, you know, and sometimes it was people he had to cut loose and say, this person is dragging me down.
That's probably like the most, those were the most anchors that I just cut off.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy. Just like,
yeah, because you have the curse of a good heart because you wanted to, in some of those cases, change those people in those situations. And it's just pretty much impossible to do that. Like they have to decide to do it. But you know, and you're like, why am I like beating my head against this wall after a while? And you figure out, you know what?
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm through.
Yeah, exactly.
There's our guy from way back when, the video, remember? So, and that's what you guys have to do too. It's like, what can you cut loose that is just hanging on to you and dragging you down? Or who? Sometimes it can even be like a family member. It could be a spouse. It could be a child. I mean, it could be all kinds. And some of those people you can't get rid of necessarily in your life, but you need to find a way to have some perspective on what they're doing to you and not get so engaged. You know, I've had some situations like that where certain people, if I allow myself and I become so engaged in what they're saying and doing and talking about, it will drive me nuts. So I have to just back away from that person for a while. Oops, I keep in the table. Back away from that situation and just let it, you know, go out of my mind, or otherwise I just become reactionary to what they're doing. And, you know, that's doesn't help me in any way, any shape or form. So, you know, think about what your anchors are and how you can cut some of them loose this year, whatever they are. And maybe your anchors are too. And this kind of ties in this next point is, what are you going to invest in this year that's been an anchor for you? And what I mean by that is, will you invest your money into your education? Will you invest your time into training yourself? Will you invest into a product that you think will help you? And that product could be all kinds of things. It could be learnings on YouTube. It could be an actual physical or digital product. It could be just spending more time with people who are successful. That, you know, who's a Jim Rohn says, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. You're the average of those 5 people. And he was right when he said that. And we've all got those 5 people. And what are those 5 people doing for you or to you? I hate to put it that way, but in some cases it's what are they doing to you? Because as you know, there's some people who are just energy sponges. No matter what you give, they just want more. Right. And it's like, at some point you have to divorce yourself from that situation and that person, because they're just going to suck all the life out of you. You know, and I hate to say it, guys, but some of the people in you guys' lives, this could be your family. This could be people close to you that will suck the energy and life out of you if you let them. That their existence is based on, you know, venting everything that's happening to them, viewing it through their lens. And that's because, you know, whatever pain and suffering they're going through and their own, you know, physical, emotional, whatever it is, that's what they got. And that's all they can give to you. And, you know, Kaaren and I've talked about this many times. You can take that for a while, but eventually you have to distance yourself from that, even when it's your family. Even it's probably especially when it's your family, because it will become all consuming. And then you will be sort of, it's like the upside down. It's like you're, oh, just see what I did there. So we just finished watching the second Stranger Things. So there we go. But it's like it just sucks you in and it won't let go. And people will do that to you as well. But what are you going to invest in this year? What are you going to invest your time in? What sort of past, present, and future, you know, are you looking at and towards? How are you going to, what sort of goals do you have? And hopefully you've already started, if you haven't already completed your goals for 2018. 2018 is good. I mean, you could literally do these goals for every day even. They don't have to be just 2018. But what about in your case, Ben? Like, what do you think in 2018? So we'll just use that analogy since it's coming up in just over a week. What are you going to invest in? What do you want to, how do you want to grow? How do you want to evolve this next coming year?
Well, I love to grow, but probably the one thing that I want to grow in the most is probably my creative side. So, you know, I've been looking into it a lot, like making videos and like being on YouTube and stuff, but it's like the only way I'm going to start off and it's going to be bumpy. And the only way I'm going to get better is by putting out more content and more content and more content. So like that's going to be my goal in 2018 is to at least get the ball rolling, because snowball effect, you just get better and better and better and better and better and better. Right. So yeah, creatively is probably where I'm going to invest most of my time in 2018.
And you have the advantage, or maybe even a disadvantage, of being a photographer.
Yeah.
And photographers are notorious for wanting to get the perfect shot, the perfect capture of the perfect moment, you know, with the perfect exposure and lighting and, you know, all that stuff, you know. But as you were saying, like, if you go into a venture like, hey, I want to start sharing my life's journey on video, there's not really a perfect moment.
Yeah. I mean, life is messy and life is not perfect. Right. So it's like, it's coming to terms with that and coming to terms with, oh. Wow, she even brings it onto the YouTube.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, she's got to be a mom. So, but in all seriousness, though, like, Ben has realized that it all sort of fits together. It's not like, and I've said this to you before. It's like it's hard. It's pretty much impossible to have an area of your life where it's chaotic and falling apart and then keep it together in all these other areas. Like, it's kind of spills over. You have to sort of wrap your head around all of it at once, and it's all part of it. But that's good though, because you're saying, I'm going to go down a road where I'm going to take a step, you know, readdress the situation, think about what just happened, learn from it, then take another step. I don't know how I'll get to that place 50 steps away yet, because I'm going to take a bunch of I'm going to have some missteps. You might go off the path and have to go back, you know, kind of come back onto it. And that's fine. I mean, I think that's what it is for all of us. Sam Dallas says he's going into boats. All right. I don't know much about boats, but boats seems like they would be a cool thing to sell. This is funny. Okay. Karen's having a whole big conversation here. Blowing up the chat. Let's see. Looking forward to the anchor talk. Great topic for the new year. Yeah, I think so too. Like, I started thinking about that analogy today, like anchors, and it just made so much sense. Like, we just get drugged down by anchors, and you know, identifying them is the first step, but then you have to remove them, and if you remove them, you're gonna start moving again. I don't know where you're gonna move, but you're gonna move somewhere. You're gonna do something. So thinking about anchors and getting rid of them is really really important, I think. Let's see. I'm looking forward to a lot of changes in 2018, but of course you knew that. Good timing. Yeah, it is good. Yeah, right. I mean, of course, the end of the year. And also too, guys, I would highly recommend you guys, if you wrote down goals for 2017, hopefully you still have them somewhere, and pull those out and see how you did. I've actually got a list on here. I'm not going to share it on screen, but I have a list. I broke it up into several sections. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just business related. It was relationship related. It was financially related. It was spiritually related. It was business related. It was all those things. It was growth related. And now having a whole year's perspective on some of those, I think I can make an even better list to, and I achieved a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And, you know, having those somewhere where you can see them and pull them back out is power.
Oh yeah.
It just reminds you, like, this is what I'm working towards. Whereas if you just, because otherwise, you know, you kind of get in that, going back to the rearview mirror, you get in that, I'm just looking through the windshield reacting to everything.
I mean, like to the point you just said, what I did is, so last year I did not get a varsity letter for rugby. So what I did is I literally hung up my participation trophy, like I had like a board in my room, and I hung it on there. So every single day that I look at it, I realize, oh, last year I just got a participation trophy. Last year I was just like everyone else, you know? And this year it's to take, like, seeing that every day and wanting to work so much more harder every day. So then this year I won't get a participation trophy. I'll get a varsity letter, you know?
Right. No, I love that. That's great. Like it's like an escalation. You know, you're stepping up to another level by doing that. And when you said that, it reminded me, I just read this story about a guy who, he's a player on the Alabama football team, University of Alabama. And last year, the University of Alabama lost in the championship game to Clemson, which is a team not too far from here. And it was a tough loss. Like, it was an incredible game, and they lost literally on the last second play.
Yeah.
And he took a screenshot of the scoreboard with Clemson winning, and that was his background on his phone for many, many months of the year. And that team, I think, won every game but that one. But he's like, you know what? And he said, and this has been their mantra, the team's mantra this whole year: finish. We didn't finish. We didn't finish what we set out to do. And eventually he did remove that backdrop, I think, and did something different. But their point was, like, they're like, hey, we don't want to feel like that again. We're not going to come up that short again. We need to finish the task every time we step out on the field against every opponent, every day in practice. Finish. Don't do it halfway, which I thought was brilliant. And they're playing Clemson in the championship playoff series here, and I don't know if they'll win or not. I think Clemson's pretty good too. But, you know, the other team gets a chance too. We always forget in these situations, not just our team. But so, yeah, I mean, take those goals from 2017 and build on them for 2018. And some of them you might blow them up and burn them down. Say, that is no longer the direction I want to go. You know, I won't even look at it as a failure. If it was a failure, maybe only in the sense if you had this goal and you never even tried. You never even went after it. You never put any time and effort and energy into it. And you're like, you get to the end of the year and you go, well, I didn't even try to do that. You know, so then maybe it wasn't like the right goal for you in general. Like, it just didn't fit with you. Maybe you wrote it down. It's like, oh, that looks good. And then as you started going down the year, you're like, I never even thought about that again.
Like the working out one for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, 2018, I'm going to work out. Then January 1st, you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like, good night. Like, I'm not going to go work out.
It's so funny you say that, because gyms, you know, always get a huge spike in memberships in January. And by like April, it's all gone.
It's all empty.
Nobody's there. They're like, wait, that's enough of that. So Jay says, hey, Ben, what motivates you? Does eBay seems a solid thing for you?
What motivates me? Oh, wow. That's a tough one. A lot of things motivate me, but wanting to just like experience. I love experiences, and that's what motivates me. At this point, like, I can't, because I'm still in the house and because I'm still a child.
He's like a man child.
Yeah, kind of, right? A child with facial hair. Like, I can't really go out and like start like a new company or go do something, but I can still like work my butt off, like go to practice, like go to work, like do all these things that motivate me, because I'm going to be moving out soon, and all these things just motivate me because I'm trying to become a better man. Does eBay seem like a solid thing for me? If I will ever need to have something to fall back on, yes. But reselling just isn't my thing. I really like people, and I really like to work outside, so I'm probably going to do something with that. Smoothie King's pretty great too.
Yeah, you even talked about like the firefighting thing and
forestry
service and yeah, it'd be hard to. It's hard for me to see Ben staying inside doing reselling. He could, but his personality might fit better with something different. Not that he couldn't do it. It's just, you know, it's got to fit too. It's not just because you can do something, and even if you're good at it, doesn't mean you should do it. And then that's kind of, I know, anathema to what a lot of people believe, but it's not always true. Just because you're good at something, you should do it. Not necessarily. If it's not bringing you any joy, I would argue then it's not that great for you. You're not that good at it because you didn't find a way for it to fulfill you in some way. It's like, well, I'm technically good at this, but I hate it. So, you know, at some point that's going to take over.
I mean, that's how I felt with football. You know, I played football for 2 years, but I mean, I'd say I was all right at football. But it just wasn't fulfilling to me. You know, it was just like,
yeah, and we supported you in that. It's like, hey, this is up to you. This is your life. You're not living through us.
Yeah.
This is your life. You get to choose here what you want to do, and that's part of growing up and evolving too, which I love. That's awesome. Somebody else I thought. Oh, somebody else's son played rugby. Gina's.
And they're talking about how I'm a Leo.
By January 1st, I will clean my rain gutters. Hey, check it off the list. After it's done, you'll be like, you know what? It's done. How is your Panthers purchase going? Your GoFundMe? Yeah, I'm still a couple billion short, but I feel like I'll get there. I've got some anchors weighing me down. Basically, this lack of $2 billion. I did read the requirements for buying the team yesterday. There's requirements.
I think we could do it.
I think we could do it. I'm pretty sure yeah.
I don't understand.
Buy a water truck, wildfire. Water truck earns $1K a day to show up. Oh, to go put out fires. I think he's saying. Oh, that's interesting. I never heard of that.
If I bought
I didn't even know you could do that. You could buy a water truck to go put out like a small little wildfire or something. I don't know about that. It seems a little iffy.
By myself.
I guess if it was on the side of the road, it was just like a little small. But fires have a way of getting a little bit bigger. So,
Adam,
thank you so much for that super chat. That's actually for you, Ben. It says a thank you for Ben.
I mean, hey, thank you, Adam.
Thanks so much, Adam. That was really nice. You're very generous. So appreciate that a lot. Adam's a great friend of the channel. Sorry, Karen's not actually on camera right now.
Yeah.
She's still getting over that. She's been sick for like a week, and she never gets sick. So this has been really rare. I don't remember her ever getting sick like this.
What was the timeline? Was it me who got sick first, or was it you?
It was you.
Me, and then kind of you. Wait.
No,
it was
me.
It was you, and then now Mom. Yeah.
And we think we may have given it to each, but I don't know. Like there was a space in between each that didn't really make a lot of sense. But I don't know.
Well, maybe that was like the virus or whatever. Like
we need to like burn the house and just kill whatever's in here because it's bad.
Oh my goodness,
this stuff sucks. It hangs on forever. I'm talking about massive forest fires. Oh, okay, Sam. I didn't know what you're talking about there. Buy a water truck. That's interesting. I didn't know anything about that. Ben's a Leo. He's a sun loving and people loving. There you go. Yeah, guys. So, 2018 is just right around the corner. Let's start figuring out what anchors are holding you down so you can sail free and clear and fast this year. And making a list of what your goals and objectives are. Not New Year's resolutions. I mean, these need to be like real. And you need to have them posted somewhere or be able to see them on a regular basis so you're reminded, hey, this is what I'm working towards. Does what I'm about to do fit in with that set of goals? And if it doesn't, then you really need to question why you're doing it. And I think you'll get some great results from that. If you just kind of, you got to, and it's your own accountability. I can't make you do it. I can't give you drive. I can't give you drive. You can't give me drive. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you to do it. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Not, they can encourage, but ultimately it's up to you to do that. So All right. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. This was very fun.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
I appreciated being on. And remember to smash the like button.
That was almost like he's like the sun pirate. I love it. That's great. It'll take about 30 seconds for that to go through before they see it and start commenting on it. That was amazing. Kaaren will be so proud. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. The weekend's coming up, so great time to rest and relax and recharge if that's your thing, or maybe you're going to get out there and get after it too. Whatever your business is, that's cool as well. So, but have a plan. Whatever you do, don't let the past weigh you down. Don't be reactionary to the present, and always be looking forward to whatever your plan is. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. So, Ben, again, thank you very much for joining.
This is
Prof Sales
and Ben Schultz
saying
good sales to you.